everyone, this is Tisch Aitken, and I'm here to discuss the week ahead, and there's a lot to discuss. So we are in the shadow. Mercury is just about to station retrograde on June 18th. It's transiting in the cardinal water sign of Cancer, and it retrogrades on June 18th at 14 degrees of Cancer, and it stations direct on July 12th at 5 degrees of Cancer. And Cancer, the sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon. It's a cardinal water sign. It's very emotional and it absorbs a lot of energy, very sentimental. It rules family and home and security and your emotional foundation. So that can bring up a lot about memories about family and old childhood memories. And again, it is very sensitive. And we also have Venus still retrograde until the 25th of June, and it's out of bounds until July 1st. So that means the energy is amped up 20 notches, and Venus is all over the place in Gemini and also just really exaggerated because it's out of bounds. So that's happening, and Venus is retrograde until the 25th. So it's retrograde this week. We're going to have the solstice and the total solar eclipse. So in that eclipse chart, Venus will still be retrograde. And so we've got Mercury retrograding. Then we're going to be in the shadow of Neptune retrograde because Neptune, for an outer planet, we feel the energy 5 days before and 5 days after. And Neptune is stationing retrograde on June 22nd. And it's in the sign of Pisces, the sign it rules. And last week it was very influential because the sun clashed with Neptune and made a challenging square on the 11th. And then Mars joined up with Neptune for a new 2-year cycle because Mars meets up with Neptune in Pisces every 2 years because it takes 2 years to transit. So that could be very depleting energy, but also can be good for spiritual work and manifesting and meditating and practicing self-care, which I think all of us need to do right now. But it, again, is very emotional energy. And I think has been difficult for a lot of people. And we have the solstice occurring Eastern on the 20th of June at 5:44 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that's when the sun slows down for 3 days. And it's the longest day in the northern hemisphere. And it marks the beginning of summer. And it is a time for reviewing what you want the summer to be and also setting intentions. A lot of people have ceremonies and meditations for the solstice. But what is significant about the solstice is that Mercury retrogrades a few days before it. Neptune retrogrades a few days after. So there is a lot of confusion around communication, around many different things. A lot of people have told me they've been having problems with gadgets. Haven't heard too much about miscommunication yet. I guess I've read examples of it, but I haven't heard about it through clients or friends yet. But I have heard a lot about gadgets breaking down or people getting new phones because they have to, things like that. And if that's the worst of our problems, then I guess it's not such a big deal. But that energy is strong. And then we've got the total solar eclipse. To me, that's the biggest deal this week. And that occurs only a few hours after, or not much longer after the solstice occurs. It happens at 2:41 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on the 21st. If you're on the West Coast, it will be at 10:41 p.m. and depending on what time zone you are. But that is a very powerful eclipse. It's occurring at the world axis. Any planet at 0 degrees of a cardinal sign is the world axis, which means that we all feel it very strongly. And there will be big news events. It'll affect people on the world stage. And the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So it's going to hit the cardinal signs strongly, but it hits all of us. And each of us has Cancer in some area of our chart. So that is a huge eclipse. It's only within a degree of the north node of fate, which is at 29 Gemini. The nodes of fate changed signs on May 5th and exited the Cancer Capricorn axis and entered the Gemini Sagittarius axis, where they will be transiting until January of 2022. But that also is big energy around. It makes it really huge. A lot of fated events. Eclipses are wild cards that if they hit a planet in your chart, you know a lot's going to be happening. It is a very pressured time. It's a major change in a very short period of time. And with Mercury retrograding in the same week, with Neptune retrograding the day after the total solar eclipse, you can imagine there's a lot of confusing emotional energy, but yet a lot of change, a lot of events happening very quickly. And this total solar eclipse, I feel, in a lot of ways has a lot of capacity for helping us all to manifest and meditate together in difficult times. With the cast, I conflated many words then, but the chart I cast for the East Coast, I did for Washington, D.C. And the chart has Taurus ascendant, which means Venus is the ruler of the chart. And Venus is retrograde in Gemini, but it's in the first house of new beginnings. And it forms a trine to Saturn. And Saturn, that brings stabilizing energy. And Jupiter and Pluto, which is are both in Capricorn, and they are going to meet up on the 30th of June to form the second of three conjunctions we have this year. They initially met up on April 4th at 24 degrees of Capricorn, where they're going to meet again on June 30th, and they're conjunct the midheaven, the angle of career. And Pluto is the most elevated planet. It is conjunct the midheaven, and that's our life goals and our direction. So that's empowering. It does affect people in power, and it can be challenging, but I also think it can be very transformative and very healing energy. And Jupiter and Pluto, again, um, when they met up on April 4th, I think it was expanding this Capricorn story that we all dealt with since the beginning, have dealt with since the beginning of the year, of collapsing of old structures, of death and rebirth on the mass world level, but also many, I think, moving towards the Aquarian age, because Saturn is still in Aquarius and will be until July 2nd when it re-enters Capricorn. Saturn is how we anchor our goals, how we learn our karmic lessons, and how we obtain our ambitions, how we achieve our goals, as I had mentioned. So, but what I also find manifesting energy is that with Uranus is conjunct the ascendant, because it's in Taurus, and that to me, Uranus is the great awakener, but it's not, doesn't like being in Taurus, but I think it also opens us up to what's of value, and makes us think and about what really does have meaning, and that's significant. And it is ruled by, it's in the sign that's ruled by Venus, and Venus is in the first house, and the all the planets in Cancer, the new moon itself, and the North Node of Destiny in Gemini, and Mercury retrograde in Cancer. All of those planets fall in the third house of communication and the mind and ideas. So again, that's how we're thinking about things. That's how we, restructuring our thinking. Also, with that, I know Jupiter and Pluto are at the top of the chart in Capricorn, which is more about restructuring. Capricorn does rule structures, among other things, but that new moon in the third house, we need to bring we need to reframe how we think. We need to raise our vibration. We need to learn a lot about learning and enlightenment, I feel, but because in the end of the year, Saturn and Jupiter, well, Saturn's going to re-enter Aquarius on December 17th, and Jupiter will enter Aquarius, I keep saying, Jupiter will enter Aquarius on December 20th, and the two will meet up for a great cycle, which happens every 20 years at 0 degrees of Aquarius on the winter solstice. So, 6 months from now, at the world axis at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and that is in conjunct this new moon eclipse. Saturn is in conjunct the new moon, because they're 150 degrees apart. But it makes us, it is a readjustment. We all have to readjust our lives and our thinking, and I think that's significant. But also, Jupiter and Pluto are making a very helpful aspect to Mars in Pisces, and that helps to give us the wherewithal to get things done, and to move forward in difficult times. And remember also that Jupiter and Pluto are meeting up in the sky on June 30th, and that is very healing energy and transformative. And I would tap into that. I would tap into doing a lot of third house things, since this new moon eclipse, at least on the East Coast, is falling in the third house of the mind and ideas, thinking, writing, write your intentions down, and really try to manifest with this energy. And I wish you all a lot of luck. It's going to be an incredibly intense week, but make note of what's happening in your life and the world around you, because we still have a lot ahead of us. We have another eclipse in July, but it's nothing like this total solar eclipse. This is huge, and this one is every one of us is going to feel. So here's to trying to reinvent ourselves and the world in a caring and loving way. Here's to restructuring our thinking and learning and being enlightened. And here we go. Thank you. Take care.